How you doing?
Good, sir.
Can I help you out with something?
Yeah, I'm a Uber driver. I can pick up somebody.
Pick someone up from the jail?
I don't know. I'm a Uber driver. I don't know. They sent me out here.
Okay, probably not here. This is a restricted area for police cars.
I'm over here. I'm looking around.
Probably want to be on that side, over on Grove Street.
So go around the block.
Just go around the block, you'll be all right.
We are live, just so you know. I think. Oh, we are live.
Can I help you out with something?
All right, we are back live. Of course, getting our stuff set up, and Steve was nice enough to help a young man who was lost. Oh, looks like he found his person back there.
Yeah, there you go.
Must have been a dispatcher, call taker, telecommunicator,
Making good use
supervisor.
of Uber.
Yes. Well,
Have you used Uber, Mike?
I have used Uber. As a matter of fact, I used it last week when I was in San Diego.
Oh.
I welcome backseaters. We'll get to that in a minute, but welcome into the back of the Tahoe here. You're with Under Sheriff Mike Martin and Director Steve Leiden from the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office in the beautiful state of Minnesota, in the beautiful city of St. Paul. And we live stream our patrols from time to time, and we're doing that right now.
Yeah, great afternoon. Great day. Sun's out again. Can't knock that.
What's the, oh, it says 36 degrees on my dashboard here. We'll take that. We are in the Central District in the city of St. Paul. We are monitoring all of St. Paul's channels and Ramsey County's channels, as well as some metro-wide and statewide channels that would come into play if there was a chase or something big happened, like our fire that we had up in Shoreview the other night.
Really got out of control quick. A couple of little 10-year-olds playing with matches and burned quite a few acres.
Yeah, it got out of control, and it ended up, I don't know how many acres it burned, but it was threatening some houses. And it was very windy, so that didn't help.
We had great coordination from the fire department that got other fire departments to assist once they assessed how quick things could grow, and it did. And great cooperation with multiple agencies fighting the fire under the command, and really impressive how well fire departments cooperate together, share information together for the safety of the citizens, and that night it really panned out.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they did a great job of getting the fire contained and then managing the hot spots for the rest of the night to make sure nothing flared up again, but it got a little scary at one point.
Yeah. You know, they had drone footage. They had the fire marshal, White Bear Lake Police Department, and the Ramsey County Sheriff had drones up. And what's very helpful for fire is you got that drone up, you can see the overall picture of what's growing rather than what's right in front of you. Plus, as they started putting the fire out, the infrared clearly showed where the hot spots were that you may not notice right away in the dark when there's no more flame, but it's a hot spot for them to put out. So it was a great effort.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch the drone footage and see how the fire was spreading, and also see those hot spots. And then when they would take it off of infrared, you could see where it was no visible flames, which was interesting to me.
Yeah, that's one of the great advantages for firefighting with drones. And Deputy Flick, on our part, did a really good job piloting that drone and making sure all the right areas were covered and visible. I did not see the footage of the fire marshal or a White Bear, but I have to assume theirs was equally as good. Yeah, it was good. I felt like I could watch it and kind of understand what was going on without being in the middle of it. So, but yeah, no, the interagency cooperation there was as good as can be asked for, and I know Lake Joe Fire took the lead on it, and I think New Brighton and Roseville assisted at different points. So, and White Bear, I'm trying to think of. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. It's kind of always the thing that catches me is I'll do that. I want to give everybody credit. They did a great job, and then I end up missing
somebody. Yeah,
never intentionally, that's for sure.
So we're northbound on Rice Street in the Central District in St. Paul, and we missed the last Monday because I was in San Diego, and at some point, probably not today, I'll talk about what we were doing down there, but basically I was there with a bunch of folks that are involved in high-level drug trafficking investigations, and we were looking at how they stop drug smuggling and human trafficking at the border, and got to tour the Customs and Border Patrol and the Coast Guard, and talked to some Marines that were assigned down there to help with fortifying the wall down there, and talked to a lot of the agents and about how they stop the drug smuggling and drug trafficking in the different trends. So at some point I'll talk more about that, or we'll probably release something on the Sheriff's Office Facebook page. And I think we're also on X. I don't know. I'm not that fancy. But if you don't already, make sure you follow the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office on Facebook and on X. I don't think we have a TikTok, which is good because I can't dance. And all the.
Do we have an Instagram?
I don't think so. And I think most of the police videos I've seen on TikTok are more embarrassing.
Plenty of those, I'm sure.
It's one I wouldn't want to explain in court, but.
This one working?
Let me see. It's intermittent. I have to restart it here. It turns itself off. So when he says, is this one working? It's our in-car camera. The in-car camera works, but it also has an LPR, license plate reader in it that identifies stolen vehicles. It's actually kind of like cheating to me, but it's, if you're driving around in a car that's stolen, it will tell us that that's a stolen car. So we are eastbound on Maryland. We had a semi-busy Friday night. Although it wasn't super busy, there was a lot going on. And a few chases and hairy situations.
Hispanic male conscious reading, like Lima, Romeo Foxtrot, 564.
Patrick's out.
2012 CTS, up to 1200 block behind.
And yes, we can run the status of license plates and stolen vehicles from other states as well. As a matter of fact, we'll get a hit if we hit on it. Part of the problem is they're duplicate license plates as far as the numbers and the letters from other states. So sometimes you'll get a hit and it turns out to be the wrong state. So it's back up.
There you go. That's why we always verify, even if we get a hit, to make sure it's still active. I had the one case about 18 months ago in White Bear Lake. White Bear found it stolen at the Speedway gas station. I happened to be nearby and they had marked squad. I told him I could block him from the front. We made the good move, and turned out to be a lady whose car had been stolen the week before and returned, but the agency that recovered the car forgot to take it out of NCIC.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah, you never want to stop an innocent citizen in what you think is a stolen, because we'll oftentimes have our guns out and use tactical stop, and then hey, you need a rug, like a giant tiger rug.
They look so nice, I had to walk on them.
Well, you could hang it on your wall.
There you go.
See, it already crashed.
What do they call that? They have, there's a word for that.
Like a felt painting or
Again, fishing hall posted.
519 clear 25, March 14315.
just FYI, Steve and I are out live, so if you need us to mute, just let us know.
You know, I knew that. I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't know what you were thinking, but I didn't hear anything.
Tapestry is what I was thinking of.
Tapestry. Huh.
I knew it would come to me as soon as I looked it up on the internet.
My dad went to Egypt once, and he got a big one of the Last Supper that was gifted to him by his hosts in Egypt. And
Cool.
we had it at our house for quite a while, and my mom will correct me because I'm sure she's watching, but I believe it was gifted to a church or similar organization. So I don't know, are the kids in St. Paul here, do they have spring break now?
I'm not sure when their spring break is. I don't think so. I think there's stuff going on in the schools right now.
Oh, okay. I just saw the kid raking back there, which gotta give props to a kid who's out raking leaves. Of course, it's a little later than I thought, so maybe he went to school and now he's raking leaves. So we're on the east side of St. Paul in the state of Minnesota. You're with the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office.
The very last entry. Just in the point.
Oh, okay, good.
In case something gets active on that.
All right, good to know. Yeah, hopefully they'll have us muted if it does.
Yeah.
So, of course, we, with our gun unit and our carjacking and auto theft team and all those groups, a lot of times they're doing stuff they don't want broadcast, and so we just tell them, hey, let us know and we'll mute so that you guys can talk freely, but we haven't had that yet. So, yeah, you couldn't ask for a more beautiful day than today.
Yeah, it's really
Well,
nice.
you know, I'd take another,
70
say, 20, 30 degrees would be nice.
But being Minnesota, end of the spring, this is typical nice
We'll
weather.
take it, yeah. Another 30 degrees more and we'd be 69 and sunny.
You know, some of my kids wrestled, and there's the last week of February, first week of March would always be the wrestling tournament fall in there for the state. And some years you'd be all bundled up and walking through snow, and other years you'd be wearing a t-shirt and out in the sun. And
Yeah.
just that fluctuation in weather this time of year is real common.
Yeah, it's crazy. What'd you think about the guy beating Gable Stevenson? The wrestling match this weekend.
I didn't see it. It's coming up?
No, the one where, you know, Gable Stevenson?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
he got beat
phenomenal. Really?
by another guy for the national championship.
Oh. Well, you know, it's
Wyatt Hendrickson, I think the guy's name
Okay.
was, from Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma's always had, you know, way back when, John Smith, I'm going back some years, one of the most gifted wrestlers. He had the ability to do a one-legged shoot off to the side, but hook your ankle and bring you down. Even when you knew he was going to do it, he was so quick. Oklahoma, Iowa, Minnesota have been really strong wrestling over the years. But, you know, the University of Minnesota had a great coach for many years. He retired.
Is that John Robinson?
It was Robinson, yeah.
Yeah.
He ate, slept, and breathed wrestling. Early Gophers. I talked about Verna, but nobody under 60 knows what I'm talking about.
Well, he died recently, right?
Sadly, he did, yeah.
After he had dementia. Really bad.
Yeah, with my dad. It's a tough way to see someone go.
Yeah.
I went to an antique relic gun show in Egan over the weekend.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was very interesting. Civil War items, World War I, a lot of World War II items there. Some old shotguns, some uniforms, black powder guns, buttons. What was really unique is he would talk to the guy that was at the table, the vendor, and boy, did he know his stuff.
Yeah.
You know, this is a hobby that they really are interested in, the history and the dates and what happened. And it was really interesting talking to these guys. And here, look, I say great merchandise. Really, a lot of vendors. They filled the arena down in Egan, and the place was packed. A lot of interest, a lot of people. And I ran into a retired FBI SAC on my way in that I used to work with, Nick O'Hara.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Nick looked great. We had a nice conversation. Really nice running into Nick O'Hara and having that conversation.
I haven't seen him for probably 10 years.
He hasn't changed a bit. He looks exactly like he did. He doesn't look like he ages anymore.
Interesting. Was he working or just visiting?
What's that? He was visiting.
Yeah.
He was on his way out when I was on the way in. We sat and talked for about 30 minutes. It's always nice to run into people that you worked with in the past and see how well they're doing.
Right, yeah. Especially, you know, when they're doing really well and
Yeah.
they're people that had done enough work and there was enough potential to where they could have easily just been depressed and...
Well, I'm not saying he wasn't depressed after he bumped into me. That could have had that effect on him.
Of course, yeah.
Like, oh my God, Light's still here?
Gee. Did you ask him about D.B. Cooper?
I actually did. There's this guy who claims to have been notified by the family of the suspect who did hijack hijack an airplane, just like D.B. Cooper case a few months after D.B. Cooper, and got caught, went to prison, escaped, and Nick and his partner were checking out a cabin, and he came out ready to fire on him, and the FBI returned fire, and he died. And 40 years later or so, his wife dies, and the kids, I don't know if it was mom's storage unit or the grandma's storage unit, they claimed to have found the customized parachute that he had jumped out of the plane with, and this this guy who's a what do you call him? People that always think something, conspiracy theory guy who's done a lot of YouTube stuff on it, self-proclaimed expert. He goes down to the video on it, and he came on and interviewed Nick, and Nick, Nick was like, don't pay attention to that guy. He doesn't have the credibility. And so we talked about that for a little bit. We talked about old guy deputies we knew that I had run into or he had run into and how they were doing. And he said to say hi to everybody back at the sheriff's department and hi to the sheriff.
That's good. Wasn't he the superintendent at the BCA for a while?
Yeah, he retired from the FBI, which is mandatory, I think at 55 or 57, as the special agent in charge of Twin Cities, or actually Minnesota and North Dakota, I believe. And then the BCA hired him. The governor appointed him to be the superintendent of the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. And then when he decided to leave there, the sheriff was able to talk him into coming to work at the Ramsey Sheriff's Department. He was an undersheriff when he retired from the Sheriff's Department. He basically had two jobs. Charge of the specialty units with narcotics, violent crime, I think gang strike force, that kind of stuff.
We're still on the east side of St. Paul. We're down off of 7th Street. Just checking some areas where we oftentimes will run into stolen vehicles, where they're busier for calls for service. Although it's super quiet right now. I use the keyword on purpose.
Well, there you go. If you want to jinx us,
There we go. We got a call.
I don't smoke in the county vehicles, but if I did, I left my cigar, that would start it. I have to throw away the brand new cigar when everything kicks
Or
off.
when you have to go to the bathroom.
47.
Yeah, that's the other time. Murphy's Law is always in effect.
Uh-huh.
Can you give me the first three? 477. Thank you. 71.
2471.
Roger, Daily Secret System.
I'm just a black belt, I'll just pay notes, check for injuries.
You used to have a big 3M plant and a roofing plant down here to our right, and it's all gone now.
Huh.
A lot of changes. When I was a kid, and you grew up, my grandparents were out here. I spent a lot of time out here, and you had Amhoist, you had Maytag, you had the railroad, which was a lot of employees, and 3M. All this used to be 3M factory right here.
Really?
Tore it down. Now it's a big empty lot. And we had Mitch's bar right up here in the corner.
How long ago did that go away? Mitch's bar.
I'm thinking the last 15 years. That's the bar that Officer Jerry Vick was murdered outside of.
Oh, okay.
He was working an undercover detail to identify pimps that were forcing women into human trafficking. Unfortunately, ran into a couple guys that were looking at him, set the guy up to roll him, and he'd shoot him off from that. And then they kind of were working their way back, and he confronted them and he drew down and shot him. It's a very sad situation. Leaving behind children and a wife, a lot of friends. He's a highly respected police officer in St. Paul. I worked with him at Oak Heights prison before we went into law enforcement.
Elderly female conscious breathing, she just got pain and overall pain.
Sir, you can't loiter around here. Oh, okay. The backseaters say hi. We just caught Pat taking a nap. No, he wasn't taking a nap.
He was checking cars going by.
Hiding out, checking cars.
I couldn't see the motorcycle. I could hear the engine in the Cadillac went by. I thought, that Cadillac has a bad.
They should change the sound of the engines, yeah. No, I saw the motorcycle. I wanted to let him pass to see if he had colors on it, but he did not.
No, he was dressed all in black and white, no colors.
Yep.
Not a lot of movement today.
No, it's like, is it a holiday and we weren't told? Nobody told us.
Again, they left us out.
Dang it. The kids must
That little
be in
piggy,
school.
he wasn't going to get his house blown down.
No.
A solid brick home.
They huffed and puffed and ran out of air.
So I got tickets from a Shriner who happened to be a retired FBI agent, not Nick O'Hara, but Art Lemke, and had my grandkids and my son and daughter go to the circus on Saturday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Where was it?
Yeah, it's at the Minnesota State,
Oh, okay.
which is closed now for total remodeling.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think it'll be open in time for the fair even.
Oh, how are they going to do all the horse shows and stuff?
I have to work hard at it, come up with something, but it's a major facelift to get that up to speed, have better seating. And,
It is pretty outdated.
yeah.
But I like to go there every year and just watch the horses. And it's interesting because I know absolutely nothing about them, which makes it more fascinating for me.
Yeah, the fairground's been around for so long. I mean, I've seen pictures where the gate 10 is,
Yeah.
down by the Hippodrome. That had about 7 streetcar lines that all went in there side by side. They would fill up the streetcars, bringing people from all over the metropolitan area to the fair. They had a streetcar office brought in just to dispatch how much traffic was coming in and out back in those days.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I miss the races. They used to have races in the
Yeah, the
grandstand.
car races, I remember that.
Yeah, that's
There's
it.
an accident up here. I just
Yeah.
saw the call. Up here on the
Looks like
left.
they're working on somebody in the vehicle.
Yeah. But they're all off the road, which makes it a little easier.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's off the road because that's where the accident took them.
Exactly. Oh. Fire
Second
truck.
rescue squad.
I must have to extricate somebody.
You know, if I could ever figure out how to hook up one of their fire engine air horns into my squad car,
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
there
I'm sure you could.
you run red lights and sirens, and with the quality of insulated vehicles and radios and sound,
Squad 144,
people don't pay attention to the rearview mirror. They don't know you're coming up and you're trying to get someplace to help somebody. And
Yeah. Well, you have to kind of toggle through the different sounds,
Yeah.
hoping that one of them will interfere with the music they have cranked up.
exactly.
Have you seen those? They have them in other parts of the country, and they probably have them here too. But the ones that have the really low
No, I'm not.
kind of sound, they're pretty good. I've seen them on fire trucks, but I haven't seen them on any police cars around here. It's very low, long, and
You see the kids. We don't have spring break here because these are guys just getting out of high school, walking home. You know, people made jokes about it all the time, but I would tell my kids, I walked a mile in the snow uphill from 1st grade to 6th grade when I went to St. Peter's in North St. Paul. But I walked uphill both ways because my house was on a hill that you would go down, then you would go up 17th Avenue or 19th Avenue to get up to St. Peter's, then you walk down the hill and then back up Burrill.
Oh, I always tell my kids that I walk to school, even in the middle of winter, the dead of winter. I would walk a mile and a half to school every day. But I left out the part where I lived in San Diego. It's usually about 70 and sunny.
Your big fear was sunburn on the way to school.
Exactly. My big fear was that my brother, who was a year older, would,
Yeah.
talk me into doing something I shouldn't do.
God bless the older brothers. Yeah, we just went over Phelan Parkway. And Mayor Randy Kelly, that was his idea. It was a great asset to the city of St. Paul and a main thoroughfare on the east side. And it wasn't that long ago. You and I bumped into Randy.
We did. At Cheryl's.
Yeah. Great restaurant in our hotel, technically, right on 120. Stopped in there for a quick bite. And Randy came in, looking good as ever.
I had no idea that was his idea to put Phelan.
Yeah. His concept, he pushed it through. Great work.
It's a great way to get from when I first joined the Midwest Gang Investigators in 1990, we used to have meetings. We'd alternate between Minneapolis and St. Paul. And the St. Paul meetings were in that brewery.
Up in the taste room?
Yep. And the taps were flowing for those who weren't working or didn't care.
Speaking of Midwest Gang Rescue Association, you have a conference coming up.
Sure do. Yeah, this week.
So if you're officers and you just let it slip your mind, And you want to go to that conference, can they still register at the door?
Yes, they can still register at the door or on Eventbrite, Midwest Gang Investigators Association. And 2 days of the top gang experts in the state talking about what's going on and the latest intel and how to investigate and track intel and prosecute criminal gangs. And
So you said the top guys are teaching, but I heard Jelly Joe was going to present, so I'm confused. No, I'm just kidding, Jelly Joe. If you're listening, Joe Miller is one of the sharpest minds I've ever worked with, and recall knows who's connected to who.
Yep.
He was trying to jump out the window. He just climbed back in.
Where's this? Hold on.
Head up to that 889 Maryland where the guy just tried to...
889
The master
Mary.
suspect just tried to jump out the window.
Go up here and turn around.
There's a wider span of pretty much half backwards.
Is it a burglar?
FLETCHER.
Yeah.
I was like mid-20s.
Oh, they got him.
That was quick.
Alright. Abort the mission.
14723 there. Gonna check the area to the south. They just head towards that home weekend.
Yeah, they got one detained. That's good.
Oakdale PD need us to respond, or they can handle it.
Sorry,
I can start for 2231 Galbraith Avenue for violation of order of protection.
Anyway, yep, Jelly Joe will be there talking about gang activity in the East Metro. We have people from Hennepin County, CISA, talking about Minneapolis, talking about the West Side, all kinds of very good investigators, prosecutors, and
Medics for 7-year-old female and pregnancy.
I'm going to talk about kind of the history of where we've been
Yep.
and with gang statutes and investigations. So
Sounds like it'll be a great time. Good information.
Should be.
A lot of networking.
we worked hard to keep the cost low, and so that we can raise a little bit of money to send investigators to training and support them, because a lot of times agencies just flat out can't afford to send someone to a national conference. So
You've been tied up with the gang activity since it really hit hard with the Vice Lords for over 25 years now.
yeah, they're probably closer to 30. Really, yeah.
And haven't you testified all over the country as a gang expert in certain trials?
Yes, I have. Mostly here, of course, in the Midwest with everything from prosecutions to civil cases where gang members were suing police or suing a business, or someone was suing the business for not protecting their loved one who was killed by a gang member. So it's been kind of interesting. A couple cases where people were falsely accused of being gang members, and I tried to talk to the agencies and the investigators and explain to them what they've done wrong, and they didn't want to listen. And so
So many times have changed, as we all know. So
Already copy.
I can remember the 90s, early 2000s. You would have Vice Lords, Disciples, Crips. You would have factions of Vice Lords,
I
Disciples,
can
and
just take
Crips.
that medical. I'm right outside.
But there was kind of a hierarchy, an order to the organization, color coding of clothing, and in the gang you're in for life. And the motorcycle gangs kind of hid their violence, so it wasn't the more violent activity seemed to be the Disciples, the Vice Lords, caught everybody's attention, got the news' attention, and you had your illegal motorcycle organizations trying to do their human trafficking and their drug dealing kind of under the radar, hoping they wouldn't be detected while they grew in strength and financing.
right, yeah, and then over time, they get targeted for RICO investigations or continuing criminal enterprise, federal cases, and that
Copy, thank you.
expose what they're doing with narcotics and stuff. They used to make their own meth,
Yeah.
but then they found it was a lot cheaper just to buy it from the Mexican cartels, and especially now, it's dramatically cheaper to buy meth from the cartels because they have so much of it and they're dumping it into markets like here, and so we're seeing unprecedented amounts of narcotics that we're interdicting. if you got
Yeah.
to know we're routinely getting kilos. Mexican cartels are really trying to dump narcotics into the United States and lacing them with fentanyl to make them more powerful.
Yeah, it's scary. It's unfortunately, the United States is one of the largest consumers of illegal narcotics.
Yeah. But I can tell you, they're having just been down there at Customs and Border Patrol are doing a tremendous job of trying to intercept with Coast Guard the same, and all of the higher level, drug investigators of drug trafficking organizations are just working their butts off. And our investigators this weekend took off pounds, I don't want to say how much, of crack cocaine coming here, and a kilo of fentanyl. A kilo of fentanyl will kill thousands of people.
Well, we used to have a lot of structure and lifetime commitment to a gang. We're seeing really the opposite of that now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no real commitment long-term to the gang. It's all about the money and what's in it for me today.
Yeah.
It's more impulsive. There's no hierarchy. You don't have to go to a leader and say, hey, is it okay if I shoot this guy in retaliation for him shooting my brother? They just do it. It used to be, we could even talk to the victim side and say, hey, we know you want to retaliate. We'd go to leadership and say, hey, if you retaliate, you're just going to end up in prison too. Let us, tell us what you know, and we'll work on it, and we'll take them out for you. But there's now there's not a set hierarchy, and whoever's the most violent and impulsive and charismatic tends to be the leader of the group. And the groups are becoming younger, smaller, and more violent because they have to be violent to overcome the fact that they're smaller groups. And we've seen it with the carjacking and auto theft stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And the guns.
Yeah. God, I'm looking at the calls. Oof. Need some coffee to stay awake here.
Yeah,
I almost said Mountain Dew, but
you would have Nikki hunting you down and telling you it's poison.
yes, yeah.
I was very impressed with the work that they did.
Yeah, they definitely worked hard to try to help us get on the right track and get in better shape.
And that's why I walked around and went down the stairs.
You can send me the medical opinion.
Steve, did you know that they made school buses that long?
Made them that long?
Yeah. Well, because you were used to the short ones.
Well, I didn't catch that. Maybe I do belong in.
Come on, buddy.
I used to drive school buses at one time.
You did?
Yeah, when I was going to college.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be a good job, actually.
Yeah, it's fun. I like to drive, one thing, right? In this profession, that's a good thing to like. But yeah, I drove a school bus. The hours were great because you had kindergarten in the morning, then early morning, then you'd go to your class at college, and then you'd have two classes, 10, 11 o'clock, go pick up the kindergartner, drop them off, pick up the next ones, and the afternoon class. And so you could really design it around your schoolwork.
Yeah, that's good. Well, and that's probably when kids were a little more respectful.
Well, depending on my route, believe me, I was surprised
I
sometimes.
suppose, yeah.
So is this where the McDonald's disappeared?
Yeah, McDonald's at Perkins. Remember when Perkins
Yeah.
was here? Yeah, McDonald's went away, but a giant loon showed up.
Yeah, the giant loon. It's a piece of work, isn't it?
It's big.
It's made out of all copper. No, just kidding. It would disappear in a heartbeat, but it's copper.
Oh, that's funny. I remember once, and I won't say where, somewhere in the city of Minneapolis, I got a call from a pastor at a church, and he said that someone in his church found out that all of their siding was copper.
Oh no!
On their church, and he was the word was spreading, and he was worried that somebody was going to come and start tearing the siding off of the church.
Yeah, they would too. It's some of the stuff I've seen them stealing.
They're saying it's the building where they do maintenance for North Oak, if that helps.
Hey, Verna
Could turn here, but it's a little dangerous right here.
Yeah, you got a lot of traffic here, and then as soon as it lightens up, you got a guy stepping off the curb on you.
349, she
You want to run them over?
You can hear it in the living room on the main floor. Come here, do that more towards the front of the house.
The fentanyl street level stuff had died down a little bit the last time I was through here, but
You're doing some remodeling on the building?
yeah, it looks like it.
5381, Squadron there.
or they're just pretending.
I'm gonna just keep my opinion to myself about that.
So I have a special medication I get. It's a compound medication, and I'd learned that there's two different types of pharmacies. There's a pharmacy that has a license where they get bulk drugs in, and then when you come with a prescription, they take the bulk supply and give you a prescription amount. Another type of pharmacy is like this blue building we're coming up to. It's called Lloyd's Pharmacy. They have a compound license right here in the corner. Actually, I guess it's great. And Lloyd can make a drug where other pharmacies can only redispense a prior made drug at a manufacturer. So the special drug that I take, they have to make it here. And I get a 3-month supply.
I'm going to try to call her.
And when
let her know I'm going to call her.
the looters and the rioters and all that criminal activity of attacking private property and burning, that pretty much ran out of control for 2-3 days.
Right, yeah.
They burned down Lloyd's Pharmacy the day I had dropped off my renewal for prescription.
Oh, no.
And they're the only ones that could make it. And of course, that criminal behavior that destroyed that building, fortunately, Lloyd's rebuilt, but it took about 8 months before they were open again. And they were very helpful for me to find a compound pharmacy out of state and worked with them to get them the prescription information so that they could make the drug and get it to me.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
thoughtful.
I do all my pharmacy work at Lloyd's with that kind of customer service.
That's great. Yeah, I had heard about compound pharmacies and what they can do. I was trying to think of what the medicine was that was so scarce, but they were able to make it, which was unbelievable to me. I guess I didn't realize that there were pharmacies where they could make drugs. It was something, I don't know if it was during COVID. I gotta have respect for people. Once again, that's one of those things that, thank God there's people that know how to do that.
Yeah, it's something else. Over on Minnehaha, going east towards Lexington, kind of near the Como area.
I haven't been to the Como Zoo in years. Have you with your grandkids?
Yeah, the last time I went to Como Zoo, I had my son Chad's sons, Christopher and Samuel. Samuel must have been 2, and I'm guessing he must be 11 by now. So it's been about 9 years since I've been at the zoo. But it was nice. I liked some of the improvements they had done, and the thing I like about Como Zoo versus the Minnesota Zoo when I took the kids is the Minnesota Zoo had the animals so far away in the quote-unquote their natural habitat, you couldn't see them.
Right, yeah. Well, is the Como Zoo still free? They just ask for donations.
I'm going to say yes, just because I haven't heard different. And,
I think so too.
And even as a little kid, my grandma and grandpa, when I'd be 5 or 6, they'd come out and get us. And we lived out in North St. Paul, which, again, I'm aging myself. There was nothing between the city of North St. Paul and the city of St. Paul. There was no Target, there was no McDonald's, there was no Maplewood Mall. None of that existed.
Right, yeah.
And my grandparents would come out, pick up my sister and I, my brother, and they would take us to Como Zoo, see all the animals, we'd have lunch, and then we'd go on the rides. They had rides at the Como Zoo. They still do.
Yeah. And they were very, if I remember right from taking my boys there, the rides were very reasonable.
Yeah.
Just enough probably to cover the costs.
They were designed for probably 10 and under. You're going to get a 15-year-old out to go.
No. And then they had that seal.
Sparky the seal?
Yeah, Sparky passed away, I believe.
I think so was Sparky passed away.
When I first trying to tell me that Shamu isn't the original Shamu.
Yeah, I'm going to break that news to you.
In SeaWorld.
When I first went to see Sparky, the trainer wore white pants, a white shirt, like a uniform shirt, and a white uniform hat like a cop would wear, Garrison hat. And he was the official trainer of Sparky. As time went on, it became shorts and like a safari shirt. Then there would be men and or women that were trainers. But the SEALs are very intelligent. They were able to train them to do a lot.
Yeah, it's... When I went to San Diego last week, I went a few days early, and my wife Ann went with me, and we went down to La Jolla. That's somewhere we used to go when I was a kid. I lived there, and we would go to La Jolla Cove to take our Christmas pictures and whatever. But it was a kind of a crappy day. It was a little rainy, and windy, and all the sea lions were up on the rocks up by they were very close to where you walk up above, and the smell was so bad. It was not good. But yeah, they're amazing. I'm gonna mute you for just a second. And we're back. I thought the big one call was coming in, but it was spam. Apparently they want me to sign up for a loan if I would just send them all my personal info. I could get a loan.
You should do that.
I should. Why don't you send me the money and then I'll think about it?
The scammers out there, it's unbelievable. Even a lot of you, I'm sure, saw on Facebook, Jim Moody, the assistant to the sheriff, gets a phone call the other day of a scammer. The crook claimed to be Captain Moody from the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department.
I didn't know he got promoted.
Yeah. So here's this guy who's too lazy to go out and get a job. He's trying to steal from good, hardworking people, and yet he's just not sure who he's calling. He ends up calling Ramsey County. The guy that is the nicest guy in the Sheriff's Department, knows everybody in the Sheriff's Department, and then he says he's him, but a captain. Oh, well.
Well, did Jim ask for a captain's pay then?
Yeah. He probably put in for
send a memo. Apparently, I've been secretly promoted.
to captain. Nobody told me.
Number one, Jim is the nicest guy in the sheriff's office.
Extremely talented. There's not much he can't do.
No. And, but last guy you want to try to scam.
Yeah.
And, but we will never, ever, ever call you and tell you you owe us money, or that you have a warrant, or you missed jury duty, and that you can pay a fine to make up for it. And if you just send us gift cards, or buy the gift cards, then call and give me the number, we will never, ever, ever ask you for money.
Anybody who calls you and asks you to get gift cards, send them money, but don't tell anybody and stay on the phone, I'm guaranteeing you they're a crook, they're a con artist. As sweet and as nice as they sound, that's how come they're able to trick people and get their money. Hang up on them. Don't listen to them. It's not true.
And they'll claim to be someone legitimate. They'll get a name out of the paper. They'll look on our website and say, yeah, I'm Under Sheriff Mike Martin, and you missed jury duty. That's always a scam. Cops will never ask you for money unless they're fundraising for something legitimate like Special Olympics, in which case they'll have a legitimate site. If you come in and, for example, you're paying for a permit to carry for that application, then you might have to pay for that at the counter in the sheriff's office. But we will never proactively contact you.
I had a good friend, Steve, I won't say his last name. He's a realtor in town, and he called me up and said, hey, apparently I got an outstanding spark ticket, didn't know about it. I got a call from the sheriff's office. They want me to send $3,000 worth of credit card or gift cards. Can I just drive down and pay it? And I said, Steve, are you talking to him on another phone? I said, hang up on him. That's a scam. We would never call you ever and ask for that.
No.
I said, it's a scam. I guarantee you there's no warrant out there. There's no warrant. It's a lie. Save them a few $1,000.
I had a good friend, a friend of my wife's, said the same thing. They used the actual name of somebody who works up at our patrol station, and had a good story, but never. That's that's one of the things I love about being a cop is we don't have to deal with money.
Yeah.
And there are some states where cops you can pay a fine right out at the scene. Not here, not in Minnesota. Not a good idea. So that doesn't mean I might not call you, Steve, and say, hey, I need.
Yeah, I'll bail you out.
I need to pay.
Like about all the different specialty licenses. You do have committee go with the Minnesota plate. I have no idea. I've never seen that design before. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so it's harder to identify for a lot of people license plate state of origin because we've gotten so kind of got away from what the fact the license plate was for. going to get to the point where somebody's going to show up with just a regular standard license plate, and somebody's going to think it's forged because it's not fancy.
Right. They sure aren't wasting any taxpayer dollars on fixing Rice Street, are they?
No, it's probably due for a major overhaul based on the condition we're seeing.
Right, and it's got to be hard because it's such a major thoroughfare. Used to be a Wally McCarthy car lot. Oh, really?
Yeah. They used to have the depot bar up here. It's changed hands a few times. And of course, Popeye's Chicken, that's pretty popular.
Yeah, I went there once on a call where a lady would not leave the drive-through
Oh, no.
because she didn't like the sandwich that they made for her.
Yeah.
Red Romeo November Charlie 061 and 037-03642.
We must have gone, we must have been glitching for a minute there. I was just looking at the comments about
Yeah, I think I
the
bumped
video
it with
being
my
bad.
finger. Yeah.
Hey, quit bumping stuff.
I'm sorry.
You're always bumping over here.
Bull in a China shop, that's me.
54.
Well, I mean, it could not be less busy. What do you think?
I'm not sure they know what they're doing or where they're going.
This person, yeah, she
Yeah.
did not. She came up behind me looking a little lost. But I think of that in an innocent way.
I have come to believe that the author of the Minnesota Driver's Manual really failed to communicate to people what the legalities of driving are, because the driving conduct I see clearly shows they don't know.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've seen a lot more people that I stop lately who believe that driving isn't right.
Yeah, not a privilege.
Not a privilege. Gosh.
I got a piece of paper for you, Mike.
Just trying to catch up to this car here. It matches the description of one that was stolen, but
Yeah.
I think that one was supposed to be gray and this one was blue.
Oh, it's a different plate number.
Yeah.
I thought it was a two.
PD wanting to report front.
A lot of them out there.
5252.
Can you tell me what this plate comes back to? Charlie, Hotel Alpha, Mike, Oscar, Romeo, Oscar.
Shit, wow. It's always on. The camera is. The LPR's not. The LPR goes off. It'll last about 5 minutes. Then it takes
That's frustrating, huh?
5 minutes to sign it back on.
Technology can be
It's
a
something. When I've talked to IT about it, they look at it and go, "Oh, no, it's good. It's all set up." So I don't know what it is. When it works, it's nice.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
No. No, but I'm thinking about doing it.
It's, you know what?
Yeah, I'm running them all the time and
Yeah.
have it done automatically. I think I'm missing something.
You call from late, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know if it has something to do with the wiring in here or it's the unit, the hardware. Give a shout out today. Happy birthday to my oldest son, Danny.
Ah,
Called him earlier today. His boss made a cake for him, and they had donuts in the break room. I'm like, so basically what you're saying is you're going to be in a diabetic coma in no time.
well, I
And,
do love cake. That's my weak spot.
Oh, yeah, donuts too. But,
My sister. Very funny text there, Mary.
love your sister, Mary. Love you, Mary. Hopefully Steve gave you your Tupperware back. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't exactly sure that was yours. Because I looked at two, they look very similar. So,
You must have come to St. Paul to do a welcome check. You can clear your North St. Paul spots report.
that car back there looked like a Lego. So we're on Westminster at Maryland, going southbound, but I may have to adjust here because this time of day, the traffic may not allow me to do this easily. But Steve says he doesn't mind if they crash into his side of the car.
Always wanting to help the team.
Take one for the team. Well, I wish we had more going on.
Pretty quiet, yeah.
Look at this guy's shoes over here. That's
Well,
the
they're
guy.
bright.
That's the guy you want running from.
Yeah, you're gonna follow him.
See him for 3 miles.
Could be pitch dark out there. I find it.
No, those are some bright shoes.
Well, you know, police work really comes down to interacting with people, talking to people, boots on the ground. There's great technology to assist and help. The cameras that the highway department run and the dispatchers of the state that run them do a fantastic job and clearly help us clear more calls with them than without. The state helicopter, drones, the license plate readers, all help. Great technology to keep people safer. Criminals hate them because they help us catch them, and good citizens love them.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I do know because I used to work without all this technology, but boy, has it made us more effective. And
Yeah.
to be able to get on the air and have state patrol helicopter, or to have in their comm center monitoring the cameras so we can track a vehicle without having to go 110 miles an hour, it's unbelievable. There's so many times when we're looking for a car and they're like, oh, it just took the Maryland exit or
Exactly.
whatever. Oh, okay. So
So you add that to the citizens that help us, the smart, good boot work on the ground, the technology. It all adds to driving crime down. And Ramsey County Sheriff's Department, we've done a lot of work on car theft, carjack, guns. We've taken a lot of guns off the street. And we work in conjunction with the Ramsey County Attorney's Office and cooperate with our other law enforcement agencies in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Maplewood, White Bear, Mountains View, Roseville, Brighton, North St. Paul. I don't want to miss anyone.
no, I mean there's just so many.
Yeah, and it's not just Ramsey County and Hennepin County agencies work with us. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. It's when law enforcement uses that technology and they work together and share information. It just defeats criminals. Without doing that, you're helping the criminals. And so that's why you see a lot of this cooperation, and you see us working at the legislature to try to be able to share database and information. And some people get all concerned. Oh, there's privacy. You put safeguards in to make sure it's not abused. You put audits in to make sure it's being run right for the safety of everybody.
Absolutely, and that's our theme for the day that we're going to leave with is one team, one fight.
There you go.
We're all one team, and we're fighting against the criminals and the people who make neighborhoods dangerous, and we just want to make it safer for the 6-year-old kid to be able to ride his or her bike up and down the sidewalk in front of their own house. And that's it. So we're going to hang up for today. Hopefully it'll be a little busier next time, but thank you for watching us.
First off, I would like to thank our detectives for all their hard work. These operations are never easy, and they put in a lot of time. So the people who helped us out with the specific operation was Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, Airport Police Department, Eden Prairie Police Department, and Richfield Police Department, and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. And they all do a very good job at helping out with these operations. But before we get started, I'm going to talk about one case from one of our previous operations, and this will all tie into what I'm going to say today. So, Mr. Michael Gillis here, I said he was a sexual predator. So back in August, when we did our last operation, he said that he wanted to stick his tongue in the butt of a 15-year-old kid. We arrested him. Then he went to Florida in October and did the same thing. So I'm going to play this video up here, Grant, if you can get ready. He went to Polk County, Florida, where Sheriff Judd is the sheriff. And unfortunately for him that day, Chris Hansen happened to be there. So Grant, you want to roll that video real quick?
After blaming everyone but himself, not only does Michael lie about his name and his age, but he also lies about his past offenses. Offenses that happened just a couple of months ago. We learn that Michael is out on bond after allegedly committing a very similar crime. He was arrested by the Bloomington, Minnesota Police Department for engaging in electronic communication relating or describing sexual conduct with a child and solicitation of a child to commit a sexual offense. And now, here in Polk County, Michael is charged with 4 felonies and 2 misdemeanors. Lewd and lascivious conduct, misrepresentation of age after using a computer to solicit a minor, traveling to meet after using a computer, unlawful use of a two-way communication device, providing false information to law enforcement during an investigation, and resisting officers. We'll keep you posted on the cases against him.
So, Mr. Gillis here, who I call the Predator, when he came to operation, he had brought his own vehicle to get the 15-year-old. When he went to Florida, he got smarter, and he caught an Uber there to drive him around, and then they caught him. He came back to Minnesota, and there's a criminal complaint out there that you'll see, where on March 2nd, he took an Uber, had an Uber bring a 15-year-old child to his house, and then he sexually assaulted him. Then he posted bail to get out of jail. At that point, I started to engage with our federal partners because, quite frankly, locally here, we got some things we got to work out here locally. We started to engage with our federal partners to make sure that, in certain instances, that we can start to send some of these cases federal. And Mr. Gillis's case was a case that was being looked at, and obviously Friday they announced that he was going to get charged federally. I'm just going to come out and tell you right now, there's some other people in this operation that we're also turning over to look at to get prosecuted federally. Also, it's just one of these things where we cannot have people like the Predator, Mr. Gillis, getting out of jail. I don't know how this guy gets out of jail as much time as he has here. And he actually followed through and raped a 15-year-old boy. This should have never have occurred. All right, so the operation that I'm going to talk about today took place starting on March 12th. It's an operation where we were running, trying to get adults who were looking to have sexual activity with our kids, minors, whatever term you choose to use. During these operations, our goal is to, 1, catch some of these folks. 2, is to try to provide services to people who are being sex trafficked. And we use the term provide services, and we were told that the term rescue is not appropriate because some of them may not feel at the time that they're being rescued, but provide services. This operation, we were successful at providing services to 3 people. We also, one of the goals of the operation is also to try to get the traffickers identified and arrested. So the operation here, you can see how many of these folks got arrested. And the title of this operation I dubbed is I Can't Help Myself. So there's a song by the Four Tops that goes, I can't help myself. I know I'm terrible, right? My car karaoke is terrible. But I'm going to add another line to that. You're going to see why I say the title of this operation is I Can't Help Myself. So the first one I'm going to talk about here is Jorge. Jorge here, in his chat, he said, I don't know what you look like, nor do I know you are a minor. I'm scared. He should have followed his advice. Then the decoy told him that she was 17 and didn't want him to be upset. He said, okay, give me the address, on my way. Well, he couldn't help himself, or he wouldn't have showed up, and we locked him up too. He was also, we believe, taken into ICE custody, and we don't know where he's at right now. Next one was Mr. Venkat. I think that's how you say his name. And he also couldn't help himself. He was advised that the decoy was 17 years old, and he said, oh, seriously? I'm excited to see you then. Well, we're excited to see him too, and we locked him up. He is here on a student visa, so I'm pretty sure at some point INS may be contacting him. Next, Mr. McClory. He also was asked, he said, wish, in his chat, he said, wish you would have said you were 18 after the decoy told him she was 17. He then requested another photo, and then after he got the photo, he said, and I'm not going to say the word, F it, here I come. He couldn't help himself either. He is a grocery store worker, and maybe he needs to learn how to stock some stuff up on these shelves as opposed to coming to my city trying to mess with some little girls. And almost forgot, sorry. He wanted to give the little girl some cocaine, some crack. Come on, man. Where we do that at? Next, Vicente. Vicente also was said, when the girl told him that she was 17, he said, I don't want you to be a minor. I could get in trouble. Well, he couldn't help himself either. A short time later, he arrived and we locked him up. And I think he may be dealing with some ICE officials also. Next, Mohammed. When he was told several times that the decoy was 17 years old, he persisted to ask the decoy how she could make him climax. Well, the only climax he got was coming to the Bloomington jail. We locked him up too. Next, here is Mr. Barclay, who is a on again, off again semi-pro soccer player. He went on to say he kept asking for some nasty sexual stuff that I'm not going to get into. But when he was told that the decoy was 17, he said, send me a photo and that's fine with me. And he said an extra $20 for an additional sex act that I'm not going to get into. And then he couldn't help himself. He decided to show up. Well, I guess that's why he's semi-pro and not pro, because if you're pro, you should know not to come to Bloomington and mess with little girls. Next, Adam. When he was told that the girl was 17, he said that might be a little too risky. Are you in Bloomington? Well, that should be a clue right there for you, man, that you don't want to come here and do this. He said he didn't see a girl on here that young before. He didn't want to be in a sting. And he questioned if this was seriously legit or not. Well, he couldn't help himself either. He showed up and he's in excavation. Well, I wonder how he's going to dig himself out of this hole. Don't come to my city messing with some of these young girls, man. Next, Anthony. Ooh, boy, Anthony. Anthony, man. Well, he asked the decoy, oh, they were. He said 17. He said, oh, my God. So a minor. Yes. And he said a teenager. Okay, it should be a clue, Anthony. Anthony goes on to, I can't say that. Yeah, he talked about, yeah, I can't say that. They can't say that either. He said he hopes it's true that she's not a cop, and he was so nervous. Well, he couldn't help himself either. And he came over, and we locked him up, and he's a concrete worker. Well, he's got some pretty hard shoes to get out of now after he came here. Alex. He was told that the girl was 17. He decided that he was going to come too. He couldn't help himself. So when he showed up, we locked him up. He also had $2,600 in currency. And I think some ICE officials may be speaking with him also. Next, David. David. I can't say that either. So he had agreed to have sex with a 17-year-old girl. He proceeded to send a picture of himself with his pants off, standing in front of a mirror. And we need to pay our detectives extra money for having to look at that. But we locked him up too. He's grown. He should know better. And he's a landscaper. Next, Justin. I think everybody knows about Justin here. So I'm not going to get into that too much other than to say that, as everybody knows right now, he is under federal prosecution. And I'm going to say one thing that Justin said that you might not know. The decoy had told him that they live with their aunt and that their aunt was gone till next week. And then Justin had asked if he could have sex in his car. Well, because he asked that, and he came here trying to have sex with a child, you will notice a nice white Toyota outside with the Bloomington police logo on it because we're forfeiting his vehicle administratively because he wanted to come here and commit a felony. Next, Mr. Jefferson. He also wanted to come mess with a 17-year-old girl. He knew she was 17 and he came. So we also locked him up. So don't come to my city trying to mess with 17-year-old girls. Next. Oh man, I can't even say half the stuff this guy said. Scott. Man, yeah, I can't say that. Oh, okay. So Scott, the undercover said that she was 17 and she just wanted to be up front. And Scott said, I guess I could get in a lot of trouble. I appreciate you for telling me. I'm a little nervous, but also excited. Well, as old as you are, man, you should know better. So he couldn't help himself. He showed up, so we locked him up too. Next, this guy's a piece of work. Marwin. So Marwin, when the decoy told him that they were 17, he said, I'm sorry, no can do. Thanks for being honest. And then he left the conversation. Well, he couldn't help himself. So 4 minutes later, he re-engages. And then he decides that he's going to meet the decoy. So when he shows up, we get him in his parking lot. And Grant, I want you to show this picture here of the retaining wall. You see how big that retaining wall is? We'll get you a picture of that. So we get him in this parking lot. And Grant, you want to show the video here?
Jump in. He's going to try and head him.
So can we see that retaining wall picture again, man, please? Thank you. This is the wall that he drove off, trying to get away. And he was listening to Puff Daddy, I guess, saying can't stop, won't stop, can't stop, won't stop. Grant, can you play that, the video of him running? So we pursue him here. If you watch how fast he's going, you notice the car's on 494. He's passing them and we're pursuing him here. We eventually get him into custody and we lock him up. And if you notice outside, that same pickup truck is sitting outside with the Bloomington police badge on the side because we forfeited that. The other part of Puff Daddy, can't stop, won't stop. And then I'm going to go into the, take that. Yep, these orange jumpsuit pants. Take that, take that. Take that. And take these. We locked him up. And the thing about him is he's already a convicted sex offender with a 15-year-old girl. So that concludes this. Again, I just want to say that we're still working with our federal partners on some of these cases because quite frankly, just locally, we cannot have these people getting out of jail and continue to repeat these same crimes. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have. Well, I'll say like Gillis here, a lot of these people, unfortunately, a lot of these predators, they got people who help them. They got some people out there who help them. And I'm really not going to get into the rest of the federal investigation because they took it from us, but it's the minute you understand, you have to quit. And I don't understand how someone helps these folks.
To be clear on those trucks out front, those are now, one of those at least belongs to Justin Eichmann and is now possessed by the department.
Yes.
Used by the department.
No, we intend to forfeit both of those cars out there. The Toyota out there, which was driven by Justin Eichhorn, and the GMC pickup that the other sex offender decided to run from us in down the embankment.
A couple questions. Why, and then kind of go hand here in Bloomington?
Well, Bloomington, we got 50 hotels, 10,000 hotel rooms, right? So we got more hotel rooms than anyone in the state. We have the airport here. But I also think it's for us in this 494 corridor, we're just not going to tolerate this, man. And I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's about victims. So one of the things that that our staffing levels allow us to do in Bloomington is actually go out here and proactively work with others to go try to arrest some of these folks. Yes. So I think, if you're traveling, pay attention to the signs that they got in the airport with the hand signals, right? So if you see someone making some of those signals that you know that they may be in distress, if you see something that you think is suspicious, don't hesitate to report it, right? And we all have to be vigilant in this, if that makes sense. Okay. I'm not sure. Like, we don't have that detail right now, and I think, in terms of once the federal government took it, they're going to look at all of his phones. But the only time we caught him here was in Bloomington. But I will say that the language that he used is indicative of someone who this is not their first time. Yeah, so let me address this first. So we had no idea who he was, right? He used a device that, we couldn't tell who he was. As a matter of fact, there was a group of us who traveled to San Diego to go to the U.S. border on Tuesday, and one of the law enforcement sources asked me, do you know you got a state senator in your jail? And I said, no. I called the jail. They didn't even know who Justin was. So, I mean, we had no idea who he was. And one of the things that our detectives have really gotten good at now is a lot of times these folks would get booked and released, like charged and released from the scene. Now we start holding them overnight. So when someone starts looking for them, they can't go home and just say, oh, I got caught in traffic or something. But yeah, we had no idea who he was. I don't look at it like someone's position. For me, it's always going to be about victims, right? And I don't think the victim cares what position you have in society. That's the way I look at it. And, we do these all the time, as you guys know, here in the city, but I don't give a crap what occupation you have. If you come here and mess with kids, you're going to jail. But, this is really, this is unfortunate. Right, because I do believe most members of our legislature are good folks, and anytime something happens like this, it just tends to tarnish that a little bit. Yeah, so when you forfeit vehicles, you can either sell them or you can put them in your fleet and use them, right? So I mean, that'd be a good truck to, for some more of these operations or to catch speeders. I don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but that determination will be made later date. There's only right now and this is why it took a little bit to get this together. Right now, the only person that we know of that is a repeat offender that we caught was the last guy, Marwin. He was the only repeat offender that we know. Yeah, to not have someone get victimized is very important, right? And I'll talk about, again, and I want people to be clear, right? If any of these guys, when they showed up, if that girl would have been 15, 16, 17, there's nothing that would have stopped them from doing what they said they wanted to do in their text messages. And Mr. Gillis here is a prime example of that. So whenever we could do to not put people's victims at risk, we're going to do. But I'm not going to get in all to like how we go about catching some of these folks. But yeah, we're going to do what we need to do to mitigate people getting victimized. Yep. Yeah. So Gillis got caught up when we did this in August. And Gillis, the fact that he was able to get out of jail spurned us reaching out to our federal partners. Similar to like what Minneapolis has done with the gun violence piece, we're looking at engaging our federal partners on this piece because we can't have this. We can't. We can get that to you. I think most of them are Minnesota, Wisconsin. I don't have the individual list for each individual, but I think they're all Minnesota, Wisconsin. Yeah, I think our folks reach out, and then we do a pretty good job of talking to each other in law enforcement most times. It's not perfect, but yeah, most times. He's got 14 of these guys in here, man. He's just one of them. Here you go.
Of this group, is Icorn the only one that's going federal so far?
I'm going to let the federal folks talk about those.
Are the rest of these folks still in jail?
I think they're all out, with the exception of Marwin. Marwin, I think he's still in jail. Well, I think, for the federal government, I'm not going to speak for them, but, one of their things that they do is public corruption. So I'm going to assume that that's why they wanted to come look at this case. But I want to reiterate, prior to him getting arrested, we were already in talks with them to take some of these cases federal, starting with Mr. Gillis here. So, any other questions? No, we haven't. And, I think, immigration, that'd be a whole nother venue here for people to talk about. But, we don't reach out. But with the whole of government approach, we don't have to reach out anymore, right? And I think that that's something that's not been covered, and I'm not going to get into. But with the whole of government approach, local law enforcement doesn't have to reach out to the federal folks.
You said the last one before this operation was when?
The last minors one I think we did was that August of 24, and that was when Gillis got caught.
And so,
yeah, so these are very labor intensive to do, so that's why we schedule them out, and they're done at different times on the 494 corridor. Just other agencies tend to send press releases where we come out and put out pictures and stuff. I don't care what happens as long as they're not able to victimize folks. That's where I'm at right now, because we can't have this happen.
Do most of them end up getting no prison time when it goes through the state?
Yes. And they get smarter, and that's why I talked about Gillis. They get smarter and learn how to avoid getting caught. And in the coming months, we'll have some additional announcements from the police department in terms of how we're going to start reallocating some resources to really dig in here, because this is an area where I think as a society and law enforcement, we're getting our hats handed to us, quite frankly. Thank you.